I think there's a bigger issue, and I'm screaming this issue to these guys. I don't know what Burfict think the next move for him really is, because the next move is probably out of this league, and he will probably never be mentioned again when it comes to the National Football League. So when you talk about the position that Marvin's in, just like you said, we know the rule, right? You got to protect your own. That's the number one rule, because there's so much ugliness that goes on at the bottom of piles that it will blow your mind, right? And most of the time, it's always the second or third person that actually gets caught that's in these incidents. But when you think about what Burfict has the ability to do to a team, right, which we saw last year in the Pittsburgh game, for him to take that game and do that at that point of the game, for me as a person, as a teammate, I'm going to him straight up and say, bro, look, I'm telling you straight up, if this ever happened again, we have a personal problem. Because if it doesn't come from the core, then if Marvin has to defend you every time, then you're gonna always go out there and think this tough guy mentality really survives, and it really doesn't.
Because you got somebody in your corner.
Right, absolutely, Shay. But that's the biggest problem with what he doesn't understand. That Marvin can only be in his corner if he's doing everything between the whistle. There's a way to play, right? And when you see what he attempted to do to Bennett, I'm telling you, bro, I'm meeting him in the parking lot after that. And you already know the rule. Because it's a certain rule. It's a certain rule that which is an unspoken law. Don't ever
knees off
don't ever go at my knees personally like that.
I got it.
Yeah.
So I got to ask the great Ray Lewis. Vontaze Burfict is a talented football player and always was back to high school. Highly recruited. He was a steal in the draft because of his reputation.
History.
Yeah, okay. I can make a case that he was as talented as you were at that stage coming out of college, because you were a little undersized coming out of Miami. Now, I'm not talking about heart and soul and all that. I'm not talking about head. I'm just talking about just overall talent, size, speed, quickness. But you didn't ever choose to go down that path. You didn't have to go down that path. You were going to play 1,000 miles an hour, play it with your head and your heart. You were going to strike people the way they'd never been struck before. But I don't remember, help me out here, but I didn't hear anybody ever accuse Ray Lewis of cheap shots or nothing. I mean, not even your arch rivals would accuse you of that, because you didn't need it. So I don't know the psyche of a kid who's so talented. Why do you need to do that? What provokes you? Is it insecurity? I don't know what drives him or doesn't drive him, because he has Ray Lewis potential physically, just on his gifts.
Yeah, but look, so you're talking about trying to get a kid to understand what makes a person take the next step, what makes a person really play the game the way the game should be played. This guy, and it's just the truth, right? This guy is only known for his antics. As talented as he may be, he may have showed a glimpse of that. But there's nothing consistent of that, right? Of him working his tail off, coming in the meets, doing all the right things, and going out there and being this dominant player that you possibly can be, right? And that's the biggest difference, that he's looking to be something that he's really not, I believe. You know, and when you watch this guy play, I say it all the time, wow, nice play.
Yeah.
Next play, I come back and say, really? Because I watched the more of the details of what linebackers really play and how they play. And when you watch what Vontaze has started to do, is it's starting to get ugly for him, because now he's going out of his game to be something that he's really not. And he's looking for attention, Skip, that he'll never get. He'll never get. He's not in that market first and foremost, right? He's on a Cincinnati Bengals team who has always been looked at some way, form, that something is going wrong. Something is gonna happen at the end of the road. Yeah. So I just think this kid has to wake up.
If you look at the greats that played the game on defense, all the greats, none of them. You look at a Reggie White, you look at a Buckers, you look at a Lawrence Taylor, look at a Ray. You look at all these guys. They would knock your block off, but no one ever said they were dirty or they cheap shotted you. When you have to resort to those see, now, if you have to resort to that, I'm questioning your ability.
That's what
So now you're trying to tell me, so you really don't have the ability to compete with me.
Correct.
So now you want to do something underhanded, undermined, to try to get me out of my game because you know how I'm going to react.
Right.
Listen, the NFL is doing a great job, the concussion protocol. But if you poll the 1,600 guys, I bet you 1,500 of them would tell you they'd rather have you hit them in the head than hit them in their knee.
Absolutely.
So he knew if he'd have hit Martellus in the back, Martellus would have probably looked back like, come on, bro, really? But once he went low, dude, you know how people feel about their knees, and you constantly do it. At what point in time does the NFL say, you know what, Vontaze, we fined you $50,000, $35,000, $75,000 for this offense. We've suspended you for 3 games, and nothing seems to be getting your attention.
Yep.
So what we're going to do now, the next incident you have, I don't care what it is. If we deem it out of the scope of a football play, you're gone for 1 year.
Which is next anyway. I don't even think you. I don't.
If it's not a, look, I understand. Sometimes you try to tackle somebody, you grab their face, man. You might get a horse collar, but he's going out of his way. He's become blatant, with his actions.
Yeah, skill. Man, listen, skill. You know what made me so confident? What made me so confident was my work ethic.
Yeah.
Like I 100% was so confident in what my ability was that all that other stuff. That was irrelevant.
You had done the work.
Oh, man. My work is between the rest of
That's why you train, Skip. That's why you eat the way you eat. You lift all those weights because when it come game time, be it late third or fourth quarter, I needed to be able to call on my body, knowing I had already been there before in my training. So I don't need to resort to these kind of measures to stoop to this, to try to hurt. I'm going to try to injure somebody in a game that's already physical as it is.
Last quick point. Back to Marvin.
Yeah.
My only fear from what you said about Marvin, you have to defend your players.
Yep.
Defending is also condoning. So you're sending a message to the other 52 that I condone all of the above that we just talked about. You said that was unacceptable.
Yes.
And that's a dangerous message to send. At some point, you shouldn't if you want to no comment, that's fine. But you say you got to defend. I don't know if this is the time to defend.
He might, but in the meeting room, there have been situations where publicly coaches will take one stance, but when we get in that meeting room, it says, look, I'm going to defend you, but don't let that happen again.
Right, because it's a totally different conversation that you have behind closed doors that Burfict must understand, and Marvin must have said something to him already.
Well, clearly the money isn't affecting him because he's been fined $775,000 over his career.